Hello, my beautiful friends. It is MissFushi, and welcome to a Patreon request video. This one was requested by Brian, who he says likes to be lulled to sleep by talking or just rambling about any manner of thing in particular, and he suggested a top 5 list. So if you were interested in learning more about me, or if you like movies, then I hope that you enjoy this video. So, I decided to talk about my top 5 favorite movies, and I actually had a really hard time making this list. There's a lot of movies that I enjoy, that I hold close, and I think for this list I tried to go with a variety to keep it interesting for you guys. So, I kind of went in order of my life from when I was youngest to as I got older until the last one, which is very special to me. So, I'm gonna kind of cheat with the first one, and I'm gonna say I would choose the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Now, the reason for that, besides the fact that I love Lord of the Rings, I love fantasy, I love Middle Earth, I love the magic of the worlds. The movies are fantastic, they're beautifully directed, the special effects were so cool for the time. The movie was very special to me for another reason, and I think it was because my dad enjoyed the Lord of the Rings so much. I remember sometimes my mom would go shopping, and sometimes we would stay home because we would drive her crazy. Because of course we're kids, and when you take kids grocery shopping, it's just nuts. So we would stay home, and my father would do these Lord of the Rings marathons where we would watch through all the movies that we had thus far. We didn't have the extended ones, but the basic ones. But we would watch them, and I just really enjoyed it. I've seen them so many times, and I remember when the new ones came out for The Hobbit, it gave me so much nostalgia. Now, those are very good in their own right, but they're definitely different than the original Lord of the Rings. I feel as if that world had so much more, the original had so much more darkness. When The Hobbit happened, it was the time of magic. Because remember, there was so much magic in the world, and it slowly started to fade through the build-up of the later in the series. It's funny because The Hobbit came later in our world, but it came sooner in their world. But yeah, definitely the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I know a lot of girls were very much so into Legolas in that time. Everybody was saying Legolas is the cutest one, but I was always into Aragorn because I like the idea of like the scruffy, strong swordsman with a mysterious life, and through the duration of the series there were so many, women that he encountered who he developed, some kind of relationship with, who cared about him, and he was just a very fascinating character. And then to see him, spoilers, become king at the end was just so cool. My favorite song from Lord of the Rings is definitely the song Fade, also known as Pippin's song. It's the one that I sang in my first ASMR video, the Minecraft one I did. That has over 100,000 views now, that's so crazy. But that's the song that I sang, and it's because I always would hum it. It's really beautiful. And that scene where he's singing, and you see the people start to go into battle, and they're running on the horses, and it's just so beautiful and sad at the same time. And I really appreciate it. Just everything about those movies. So I would lump all of the first, Lord of the Rings trilogy into one of my favorite movies. So yeah, I would do that. For my second movie, I went with an animated piece, and it is by one of my favorite Japanese directors, Hayao Miyazaki, and it is the Cat Returns. If you've not seen that movie, I highly suggest you pick it up and you watch it. If you have little ones, it is perfect for little boys and girls. It's amazing. Basically, there's this girl named Haru, and she ends up saving a cat from getting hit by a car. And in return, spoilers, ends up being taken to the cat kingdom after being given all these gifts. And they're telling her that she is going to marry the prince. And when she's taken to this land, she starts to have this issue where she doesn't believe in herself. And she slowly starts turning into a cat. And then the train goes by, which kind of fits the Hayao Miyazaki theme, doesn't it, with the train? Go by my house. But yeah, she has to remember who she is and have faith in herself in order to turn back into a human and escape. And it's beautifully animated. There's this big fat cat in it. The prince is this beautiful Russian blue with pretty eyes. There's a cute little white cat. And there's also my favorite cat, which is actually a cat figurine with human hands and feet. We believe his feet might be human. We don't actually get to see them, but we see his hands. But he's called the Baron. And I remember when I was little and I watched it, I low-key had a crush on his voice. And I was like, why isn't he human? Because I'm not into dating cats or anything like that, but I was always like, he's the coolest prince. Like, all the Disney princes are, they're whatever, but I thought that the Baron, the cat from The Cat Returns, was the coolest guy ever, and he plays a massive part in helping to save Haru. And although it is a Japanese animated movie, the English dub is actually really nice. It has Anne Hathaway, I believe, and a few other American voice actors that are pretty well known, and I think they do a really good job. I'm pretty happy with it, so I watched it in English, and I enjoyed it just as much as when I watched it in Japanese. Hayao Miyazaki movies are amazing for a lot of reasons, but I think one of my favorite is, even within the world that they create, even when things seem so dark and so horrible, oftentimes the bad people, quote unquote, or bad cats, end up being good in the end. Or it's almost as if you learn to understand why they did the things that they did. And I think that's important to teach children, that things are not always black and white. There's not just good and evil. There's everything in between. There's evil actions by good people and good actions with evil results and all manner of things. So I think that's important, and I think that Hayao Miyazaki films are very good at teaching that. And yeah, The Cat Returns, I would recommend that very, very much. Now there's puppies barking. Can you hear them? Oh my goodness. I feel as if I have to wait till midnight to record ASMR videos. But then I go to work really sleepy, so well, I guess with the puppies would be a good time to talk about my next one. And I would pick, this one is not very, there's no metaphorical reason for this, but probably Legally Blonde, which is, my reason for that is, yes, it's cheesy. Yes, the music is horrible. The script isn't that great. The acting's not the best. It's got some really goofy stuff in it, but, as a young girl growing up in the 90s and the 2000s, Legally Blonde was just really special to me, I guess. It was one of my first chick flicks. I haven't seen a lot of them, I've never seen The Notebook or anything like that. I think I saw Walk to Remember a long time ago, but Legally Blonde was really special to me. And even though it's really silly, I like the story. Something interesting about Reese Witherspoon, who is the main actress, is that she admitted once in an interview when she had tried to get into acting, she had been told that she wasn't pretty enough to be an actress. And she has a very distinctive look, but she was told that she wasn't pretty enough to be an actress, which just makes me even happier that she's had the success that she has, and makes me root for her even more as the girl she is in the movie, who plays a, quote, pretty girl who shows off that you can be smart and beautiful at the same time. And it's totally okay and normal and fine. And as a younger woman, a younger girl, I enjoyed watching it because it was nice to see this girl who everybody assumed something of her. But she kind of showed them that their assumptions were completely wrong. And I like that idea because I think that when a lot of people look at me, they see some girl who usually has like a high-pitched voice, who's really bouncy, you know, blue hair, seems kind of childish sometimes, and they might assume things about me. And I kind of would like to be surprising. Like, I'd like to think I'm a pretty smart person. I wouldn't say I'm, you know, educated in excess or anything. Like, if you... Now someone's mowing their lawn. If you hand me a piece of paper and say to do some complex equation I've never seen before, then I wouldn't be able to do so. But if you wanted me to write a critical thinking essay that's about 5 to 6 pages, I think I could still handle that. But yeah, Legally Blonde. I also listen to it a lot when I work at my office on repeat because it's just helps me drone things out and focus. So yes, I would pick that. And the next one that I would pick is Interstellar. If you have not seen this film, I recommend it with all my heart. It is a beautiful masterpiece directed by Christopher Nolan, who is a fantastic director. He's a very thoughtful person when it comes to directing his movies. And if you've seen, or if you're going to see Interstellar, think about things like this. It used so many sets, real created sets and places, in lieu of CGI in a lot of spots. There was still CGI involved, but practical sets, because he wanted it to feel so much realer to the actors. Matthew McConaughey did a fantastic job, him and his goofy voice, and I think Anne Hathaway did beautifully, as did everyone else. The music and the score from that movie, it's beautiful. It's music that I can never get tired of, and I can listen to on repeat. And I remember I saw it in an IMAX theater, where the screens were, it wasn't, no 3D glasses or anything like that, but the screen was massive. It stretched from ceiling to floor, and we were on these arising seats, and the movie just seemed that much bigger to be on that massive screen, and it was beautiful. I remember leaving it just thinking that I wanted to be an astronaut and go to space, and so many different things. When you stop and think about dimensions and the way the world works, and black holes, and the possibility of an infinite universe ever expanding off into itself, then what could be infinity if something's able to expand into it? Then infinity has to be a number, but a number that's ever increasing. I don't know. My brain just gets so jumbled, but it's very fascinating. But yes, I've heard a few people did not enjoy the movie, or they thought it tried too much to come up with theories or facts or to make sense. But I think it did an amazing job, at least to me. And it's something that I would watch again and again and again and dissect, and I truly appreciate it for what it is and the time that went into it and the beauty of it. And I really hope that at the end, the good thing happens that we're all hoping would happen. I don't want to spoil it too much if you haven't seen it, but I really, really recommend it. It's so good. It's so good. And let me see here. I think that the last movie that I would recommend, or that I think is one of my favorite, is A Little Princess. This is a movie, and it's with actors. It's not a cartoon, but it's a movie that I used to rent on VHS. I know I'm old, on VHS back in the day from the library, because that's what we did as kids. We'd rent VHS tapes from the library, and I'd rented so many times, and it was just, it follows the theme that all little girls are princesses, all women are princesses. Everyone's deserving of respect, but this one targeted itself at young girls by saying that you're worthy, you know. All young girls are royal and special and worthy of respect and can carry themselves that way and should never be mistreated or abused or any matter of those things. But this story is about a young girl who lives in India, and her father is in the service during a war, and he has to be deployed and sent off. And this is set in, I don't know the time, but it was during a big war. I forget which one. I don't know if it was World War I or II, but he had to go to war, so he brought her to England to a boarding school. And he has lots and lots of money because he's high up in the service, and so he pays for her to have the most beautiful room at the boarding school for girls. And the woman there acts as if she's nice, the headmaster acts as if she's sweet and says, you know, we'll take care of her. We've got her this big special room all by herself, all these items you wished for. Her father leaves her this beautiful doll, and, you know, as a gift to be her friend, telling her whenever you leave the room, dolls get up and walk around or look around or do things, and she keeps trying to catch the doll by peeking inside the room. But her father ends up leaving, and she interacts with the girls at the school, and you would think that because she was raised with wealth and her father treating her as a princess that she'd be a brat, but she's not. She's actually quite kind. And one of her favorite one of her favorite pastimes is reading and telling stories. Beautiful stories of an Indian princess and a prince off to save her and love and all these wonderful things. But something ends up happening in the movie that is a turning point, and the money and the wealth is taken from her, and she's forced to basically become an indentured servant or slave to the boarding house, the boarding school, where she's been living. And there's this girl, this younger girl named Becky, and she lives with her. And I believe at this time, I'm not sure of the exact time, but I think there were still some issues involving race in England and other countries, because the girl who was there before, she was a black girl, and I think Becky is. And I don't know if she had been I never figured it out, if she had been a girl who had been boarding there, or if she had been some sort of indentured servant, or a slave like our main character became. But either way, they lived together and they became the best of friends. And our main character, she never really loses hope. She keeps telling them they're all princesses and that she's worth it, and she makes it through the difficulties of, you know, being a servant and a slave and enduring the brutality of the headmaster by telling stories. And there's a lot of elements and magic and things like that, and I don't want to give too much away, but this was a very special movie to me as a young girl. And if there are any young girls, young females, or even I think boys can get something out of it. Anybody, no matter what you are, you can get something out of it. It's a very good movie. A Little Princess. 10 out of 10. Do recommend. Maybe if I can find it online or something, I'll leave some sort of link below, but I'll have to see, so you guys know what I'm talking about. But yes, these were some of my top 5 favorite movies. I hope it was okay. Thank you very much again to Brian for requesting it. I hope it made you happy and you enjoyed it. I kind of like talking a little bit about myself and things that I like, because I don't do it all the time since we mainly focus on making videos about games and stuff. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a thumbs up down below. Leave a comment. Tell me your top 5 favorite movies. I would love to hear which ones you guys like. Maybe I will find some new ones to watch, or think of ones where, oh, I should have picked that one too, or something like that. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know, so maybe I can do more in the future. If you're interested in learning about my Patreon account, I will leave a link down below. Nobody forces you to go look. I just put it there just in case. And subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.